we're going to talk about something that in my class are referred to as invisible zeros. And what these are these are zeros that when added to a number do not change the meaning of the number at all. And you can put these in very special places, but only in certain places. You can't just throw them in anywhere in a number. Otherwise, if you have 4 and you add in a random number, you go from 4 to 40. And there's a big difference between the number 4 and the number 40. Like if I were to say, hey, I'm going to give you $40, but I only give you 4, you'd be pretty upset. But what you can do is you can add in invisible zeros in lots of places. You can add them anywhere before the number. You can add in as many as you want. None of this changes the meaning of the number, and you can keep going on. Or you can add them after a number if the number ends in a decimal point. If the number doesn't end in a decimal point, you can add that decimal point in. Just remember that, like a period at the end of the sentence, decimal points are always at the very end of a number, if they're not there already. Now that we have that decimal point in there, we can also add in a bunch of zeros to this. This is correct. You can put in millions of zeros as long as you only put in zeros. Just like saying $4, $4, and $4.00 are the same thing. That's what this means up here. The decimal's in there, so it's good. That's also correct. That's also, well, that's not, that looks like a 1. That's also correct. That's also correct. These are all the exact same number as 4. If you have a decimal already in a number, like let's say 3.7, then you can add in decimals anywhere before and anywhere after. It means the same exact thing. You can put in an infinite amount of zeros here. It will all mean the same thing. What you can't do is you can't add in a random zero in between. That will change the meaning of the number. Would you rather have 70 cents or 0.07 cents? There's a difference in there. Remember, don't add in that extra zero unless it's at the very end of a number. If you have 0.7, then you just keep adding invisible zeros. Now, most times you won't need to add millions and millions and millions of invisible zeros, but it's always good to know that you can do it. This is especially important when you're working with adding and subtracting decimals, or working with dividing numbers and getting a decimal answer. Or, if you get an answer like this, you know that you don't need those zeros at the end, so you can go in and your final answer can look like that. And it will be the same thing, but this will look like you know what you're talking about because you know which zeros are okay to get rid of. If, however, you have an answer that says this, because the zeros are between a number and a decimal point, you cannot get rid of them. Those have to stay. Would you rather have this much money or this much money? I know which one I'd want. You can't take out invisible zeros that are between a decimal point and a number or a number and a number. But you can add them in at the very beginning and at the very end.